We're here at the Nonprofit Technology Conference in Washington, D.C. Now, technology is sometimes difficult to grab onto, understand, and then use to bring in new constituents. With the launches of iPads, tablets, iPhones, apps, there's just so many opportunities for nonprofits to really step it up and engage more people. Let's hear from some leaders in the industry and how you can engage people on the ground.
Woman whose father passes away, unfortunately. And he lives in Pittsburgh, and he belongs to a synagogue, but he belongs to a synagogue in the very nominal way you belong to a synagogue, like going a couple times a year and that's it. And his father passed away, and his father lives in Baltimore. And so he goes home to Baltimore for the funeral, and for Shiva for the few days after, for the morning period immediately after. And then he goes back home and decides that he wants to say Kaddish. He wants to say the daily prayer that traditionally said in Judaism when somebody within, like when a father or other close relative passes away. And he wants to do it for a month. There is a more formal Jewish tradition, you do it for, some people want to do it for a month. So he says, I want to say this daily prayer for a month. And so he goes to a synagogue and he says, I have a problem. I want to say this Kaddish prayer for a month, but I can't because the time that the synagogue has for praying is too late because I got to go to work, right? And so would you please move your davening time earlier for me? Okay, this is his synagogue, but he never goes, right? He goes for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, that's it. What does the rabbi say? Yes or no? No, right? Right? The rabbi says, no, we're not going to move step. And beyond that, you should come early, you should come late. It's more important to be here than to go to work because it's your father, and gives a whole guilt trip, the whole thing. And so what does he do? He goes to his office, and he gets online, and he starts IMing with a friend of his in Los Angeles. A friend of his, by the way, who knew his father, who he grew up with, one of his close friends from high school. And he's lamenting the fact that the synagogue won't accommodate him. And his friend throws out a really interesting question. He says, well, why don't we just do it? What do you mean just do it? He said, well, why don't we just daven? Why don't we just create it? And they proceed to gather a group of people around the country who know this man, who were friends with him when he was a kid, who knew his father. Do they geographically live in Pittsburgh? No. They do it all online. They do it all through Skype. And they create an online praying moment for him, to help him in his morning. Okay, so we could have a long conversation if we wanted about whether it's halachically appropriate to daven via Skype. But, okay, put all that aside. The real question is, who's this guy's community? Is his community the people that he happens to live with, the synagogue that he happens to belong to? Or is community the people that he's friends with, the people that he's connected to in his gut, the people that he goes to when he's in mourning? So what we're going to talk about today is that very question of how emerging technologies, new media, changes the entire definition of what community is and opens up possibilities of how we interact with each other, how we communicate with each other, and how the Jewish world can be responsive to that.
But actually we're working in an attention economy, and if you can't get the attention of the people that you're trying to engage, you're not going to be able to achieve your goals and your mission regardless of how you're measuring it. So we need to be thinking about what are all of the attributes necessary in order to earn people's attention and their trust and keep it over a period of time. Because while we might be having little sound bites in 140 characters, that's not the ultimate goal. Right? The goal is about information, identity, relationships, whatever your mission may be and what we think are Jewish communal values and needs. But that's not about dollars necessarily, although dollars are important to make all of that happen.
My name is Simi Hinden. I'm from Present Tense. I guess we use technology in so many different ways that I'm actually having difficulty trying to think of the specific tools to explain. But we use a lot of social media in order to connect with our community. We use a database system in order to keep track of people that are involved in Present Tense, whether it's through our programming, our fellowships, or our magazine. I think one of the difficulties we're having is sort of measuring our effectiveness and tracking metrics effectively using tech. So it's a great tool for connecting in community, but how do you actually measure what we're doing and create some effective rubrics for future success for our programs and helping reach our community in new ways? Hi, I'm Rachel Weidinger, and I work with TechSoup Global. I work in marketing communications with our international partners. And one of the technology challenges that we're facing is that with partners in more than 35 countries, there's a huge amount of conversation and content that's generated. And how do we, as an organization, listen to all those conversations that are happening all over the world? We know that's important, but just the sheer volume of information and the number of languages that it happens in are tricky. So right now we're experimenting with some tools, a combination of Google Translate, we're sometimes using Yahoo Pipes, and we're piping that all into a feed reader. We're experimenting with NetVibes right now, and that has got us to at least having all the conversations in one place. And we're trying to come up with the processes that help us, as a large organization, 180 employees, offices in a couple different countries, to figure out, to sit in that feed of information is kind of overwhelming. So we have some specialized staff people who help us get that into reports that we share out with a wider audience who's not so used to reading 100 RSS feeds at once every day. So we're learning a lot. I think we're not quite done yet, but that's where we are with our technology challenge in that area.
I'm Scott Hertz. I'm with the Union for Reform Judaism camps and Israel programs and youth programs, and we are obviously using technology to completely engage our youth participants, their parents, lay leaders, congregational clergy, and professional staff. Our biggest challenge, obviously, is capacity in terms of resources and our ability to do the more, and to be on top of what's new while also maintaining everything that we're currently doing.
Hi, I'm Andrea Sorn from the Israel on Campus Coalition. We're using technology to try to reach new audiences and also our existing audiences and students and campus professionals and lay leaders and the community members to just try to get our message out. At this point, we're just trying to listen and engage with all those different communities and see what's sort of out there right now. Definitely some of the challenges are it's such an expansive community, and trying to find our niche sort of within that community and get out messages that are really added value to them.
Hi, I'm Norman Reese with Jewish Funds for Justice, and I guess quickly the one thing I would say about technology is that basically everybody is a technologist now because everybody knows technology much more so than it was years ago, and I think right now is not the fact that you have technology, but how to really use it effectively and how to make it work within your organization. And that's not technical, that's really working with people and working with your colleagues and really making it work well for what your mission is.
I'm Sasha Littman from Measuring Success, and I came today as part of a new grant that we received from the Jewish New Media Innovation Fund for the Jewish Journey Connector, which is attempting to try to really create for the Jewish community what Netflix and Amazon has done online in terms of really mining people's knowledge and interests to basically make good predictive guesses about what they're going to be involved in. And the reason I think it's so interesting is because technology is providing us the opportunity to actually connect with people based on what they want, where they can really drive their own journey, as opposed to enabling what has happened traditionally, where the organizations decide what people should be interested in. And hopefully with that switch, our organizations will be really transformed by the opportunity to be more seamlessly and dynamically connected with the opportunities that are out there, and that's all enabled through technology and through data mining and analytics.
Hi, I'm Dan Saratsky. I'm Director of Digital Strategy for Repair the World. And I would say that the greatest challenge our organization is facing is not a digital issue, it's not a technology issue, but it's a messaging strategy issue. If you're trying to make service, which most people don't know or think about, relevant to Jews who aren't necessarily engaged in Jewish life, you first have to make Jewish life seem interesting, palatable, and attractive to them, and then show them that a viable way of expressing that Jewishness is through acts of social justice, acts of service, and serving in the long term as a lifelong process. And that is more than just Twitter and Facebook. That's about making a compelling case for being an engaged Jew and expressing that through acts of social justice.
My name is Miranda Bogan from Masa Israel Journey, and we're trying to use all sorts of different new media and social media tools to reach out to people who want to learn about opportunities in Israel. And our challenge is really finding people where they are and giving them the best tools so they can easily find what they're looking for. So we've experimented with new applications on Facebook and seeing what people actually want to do when they're in each of these different tools, and that's how we're trying to adapt our communications to what people want.
Jacob Dalal, Public Relations for Birthright Israel. I at this conference to learn more about technology, which we all need to use more of. We're lucky because Birthright Israel is not only a very well-known organization, it's a young people's organization, and we really have the opportunity to take much greater advantage of high-tech, new tech, and social tech. And one of the things that we're looking at by way of getting people involved is to share their Israel experience on Birthright. Those 10 days are for many people a life-changing experience, and we want to build a community around that experience, videos, photos, prose, poetry, and hopefully become a place where after the trip people can share in a virtual community their experience and the effects of it on them over time. So that's kind of our goal as we try to upgrade some of the stuff that we have.
I'm Robin Cantor from the Charles and Schusterman Family Foundation. I'm the communications officer there, and at our foundation we are talking a lot about how powerful it would be to take the tools that young people are using in their everyday lives and apply them toward engagement in Jewish life. So that's really how we're trying to learn how to harness the power of technology to do that. It's been a really great learning experience getting more deeply involved in a lot of the tools that are out there, but I think one of the things I took away from today is that it's not about the tools, it's really about how you're using the tools to achieve your goals. So I'm excited to share our editorial calendar and in turn to get some of the social media plans that some of these people have put together in the room and really see how we can apply it to the work we're doing.
As you can see, there are a lot of opportunities and challenges to embracing new technologies. This is Aaron Herman, and thanks for watching.